All right, welcome to Scatterbrained, a weekly subpod of mind controllers. I'm your host, Brandon Craw, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Joe Moreno.
And we're actually joined by a very special guest today as well. And I'm going to let him introduce himself real quick.
Hi, my name is Brandon Courture. I'm also somebody who plays video games.
Yeah, someone who plays video games, but also has, like at least some college level history of like studying psychology and neuroscience.
Right? Yes, I did. My undergrad was a neuroscience Bachelor of Science, as well as a theater Bachelor of Arts. So I'd say I know about the human condition a little bit.
Yeah, especially with that theater degree, probably more than the neuroscience, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Awesome. Well, so glad you're able to join us. Man, how's everyone doing? How's everybody's week? I know we just kind of briefly chatted right now, but I don't know, anything on y'all's minds before we like dive into the games? We already caught up. Right. So cool. Joe, I know we've been playing the same game, so I feel like I want to let Brandon go first and tell us what he's been playing, because I feel like we're going to be talking about Metaphor quite a bit once that comes up. So, Brandon, I would love to know what you've been playing.
Space Marine 2's out. It's been a blast. I've been a big 40K head for a bit over a decade now, so I'm happy to see more games coming out in the setting. Been playing a good amount of that, and then I've been playing Satisfactory as well. I actually just beat it. It had its 1.0 launch, got it for the 1.0, and fantastic games both.
Nice. Yeah. That's funny. They feel like they're both pretty different in the genres.
Very
both
dissimilar.
Those games. Yeah.
Yes. one is I chill, have a cup of coffee, and think about how to optimize. The other is very much action nonstop.
Totally.
Yeah, the combat system that they did for Space Marine was different than the first game. The first game came out also about over a decade ago. Mm-hmm. And they did a really good blend. Have you guys been able to play that game? Are you guys 40K heads? No?
I really liked the first Space Marine. I don't think I played it too much, though. I forgot how I ended up playing it. It was maybe just to try it out. But I've been very curious about the Space Marine 2 and really wanted to play it. Haven't had anybody else that I knew of until today who has been playing it and enjoying it. So maybe I'll have to dive in.
Yeah, really roughly, the combat system does a really good job of blending like melee and ranged. You're very incentivized to go into melee in between bouts of shooting people. And it's very fluid too. You don't have to like re-equip your melee weapon. It just kind of comes out, and it's fast-paced, fluid. They've already released the roadmap, and the roadmap looks amazing. But
nice.
Yeah, fantastic game.
Yeah, do you feel like how much is it? It's like a full $70 game.
It's a full price game, yeah. And if you're looking at like season pass, you're looking at spending a pretty penny on it. No shame in waiting till it comes down and more content is released, though.
Yeah.
But I would say at its price, specifically if you're into 40K, it's definitely worth it.
Okay.
If you're not into 40K and you have friends that also want to pick it up, the operations mode is a lot of fun. There's great progression. There's 6 different classes, progression system for each class individually, and some of the progression mechanics are shared across classes. So once you get one up, it'll be easier to get the rest up.
Oh, okay. That's pretty interesting. I don't know too much about like I know the gameplay, the core gameplay is like, is it even looter shooter? I know it's mostly shooter.
No.
Okay.
So all of your like equipment upgrades happen outside of the game. You don't like pick up a new heavy bolter from the ground and you're like, ooh, this one has +3 strength. Not quite like that. It's you set your loadouts ahead of time. There is like looting in that there's pickups. It's not a health regen system. You have med kits and you have armor, and your armor refills both through combat, a la like Doom, where if you finish a guy with an execute, you get a chunk of armor back. And then if a dude hits you and hits your health, you have a very short period of time to do some damage and get some of that health back.
Oh, I always love when the game like puts that concept in. I feel like Bloodborne kind of got the ball rolling there of where you could do some damage to get the health back. Okay. That's really cool. And it sounds like the core gameplay itself has been pretty satisfying with the shooting, and then you said the melee combat.
Yes, and there's some classes that are more specialized in ranged, some that are more specialized in melee. But the game came out like 2 weeks ago. I already have 50 hours in it, so that's my recommend. Yeah,
Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it seems like a good time. I'm guessing you've been playing with like a solid group of people.
Yeah, I got a squad of 3 that we do operations with, and we've all been like trying out different classes. I've done sniper, assault, and bulwark, and then I'm still waiting on my buddies to give up their classes so that I can try them. But
nice.
Yeah.
Which one's due time. What does Borg do?
Bulwark.
Bulwark.
Bulwark is
Bulwark.
you have a big shield.
And
okay. So you have a shield as like your anti-ranged option. You can put the shield up, and almost all ranged attacks bounce right off. And then you can put down a flag, and it restores armor to everyone in the area. And that class doesn't have like a primary weapon. You just have a pistol and your melee weapon.
Okay. Your primary objective is to just defend people. And
go into melee and get in there. You're very much get stuck into melee. There's a really nice loop of parrying a guy. So I feel like I'm just gushing about the mechanics. But there's a really cool system where when you get a good, a perfect parry off, you get a gun strike. So you pull out your pistol and you do a big damage headshot. It auto locks on, and you just click it and you get a chunk of armor back if it kills the guy.
Oh, damn.
You can also execute a guy if they're at low health. So there's this like very nice dance that you do when you're surrounded by a bunch of enemies, where you get a couple hits in, you parry a guy behind you. That parry either kills him or allows you to gun strike them. You get some armor back from some of the other people that might have hit you, and then you turn to the next target.
Dang.
And then sniper is all about you just sit in the back lines. Your special is you can go invisible, and your job is just pick off priority targets, get those headshots. And keep the ball rolling on that. Support the people who are surrounded, and try and get the big threats off of them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Damn. You're really selling this game to me right now.
It's fun. It's visceral. Everything that you do, because a little bit about 40K, Space Marines are 7 to 8 feet tall, superhumans in like 1 ton power armor. So everything that you do has a very satisfying weight to it. There's very few actions that you can do that don't feel like powerful. Yeah.
Man, that's good. Yeah. Feels like it has to be designed that way. I mean, if you're going to be the 7 foot tall, like robot wearing or armor wearing, like menace. Yeah. What's been your favorite class to play?
Of the ones that I've played, of the ones that I've played, Assault is a lot of fun. You have a jetpack, and you can jetpack up into the air and then charge up a big hit, slam down into a group of enemies. I'm not very good at it, but it's a lot of fun. You move around the battlefield very fast. Your jetpack has 2 charges, recharges over time, and a lot of fun, that class. And Sniper can feel really, really satisfying too. Although I will say, I think currently Bulwark is a bit overtuned and is a bit too good. The one with the shield. Really? Yeah, it's there's a mechanic with Bulwark where when you place down that flag that I was talking about, you everybody gets temp HP that they can do damage to get their HP back. There's very few ways to heal in the game outside of medkits. And with that system, if somebody has a medkit, they can immediately get to full HP for free at the cost of a cooldown. And that's very, very powerful.
Damn.
Yeah.
That sounds like it.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
And the campaign's a lot of fun. The final mission of the campaign, without any spoilers, was one of my best experiences in gaming. You can play the campaign fully through with 3 people and have a blast.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, man. Okay. Well, I'm definitely going to have to check that.
Local Games Workshop. Go and buy more plastic crack.
I know, right? Did you ever dabble with like the actual Warhammer?
No. No. The only thing that I've done like tabletop wise with Warhammer is I played a lot of the role playing game systems. So like Dungeons and Dragons, but in the Warhammer setting with Warhammer rules.
Nice. That sounds fun too.
Yeah, the tabletop role-playing games that they put out are all very good. The rules generally stay the same, but I would without getting too much into it, use only war combat rules for everything, because some of the older systems have some pretty broken stuff. But that's very much a different discussion than the one I think we're trying to have. Yeah,
that one's beyond my scope of knowledge there as well.
Yeah,
not too familiar with it. I did play, I think it might have been like the senior year of high school, so shit, almost 10 years ago now. My friend and I got into the war, like we bought a starter kit for the Warhammer.
Fun.
Just like tabletop. And I think we spent like 5 hours painting all of the figures one day, let them dry. The next day we like played a game, and it was equally as long. It might have been like 3 hours just for like one match of us playing against each other. And it was really fun, but it's like really time consuming. So many rules. I think the majority of that time was just having that handbook open or rule book open and just like trying to figure out what's going on. But
yeah, my understanding is it gets faster once you're more accustomed to the rules. But yeah, that whole process, I mean, that's the point, right? It's supposed to be a hobby. Half the reason why you get into it is to paint your little pieces of plastic. And then also, I guess you can play the game.
Yeah.
In fact, I have a buddy. Yeah, I have a buddy, and all he does, he just likes the painting and building aspect of it. And he doesn't really play the war game, but he buys the minis that he likes and paints them. Yeah.
That's really cool. Oh, man. They could also get pretty pricey, too. It's wild. Like, just for one of them.
The most expensive one that I know of is a Titan, which is about 2 feet tall, a foot tall.
What?
And costs about $1,000. Let me see if I can pull it up.
That is wild. Is it like, do you can use that while you're playing in the war game, right?
You have to play a very specific sub-faction of the game where you're using those giant pieces of plastic. Yeah, so here's one that's painted for $3,000. But that's pre-painted, so you're paying for the person to do the art.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like they made some cheaper ones that are only like a couple hundred.
Okay.
Only a couple hundred. Yeah.
Only a couple hundred for one piece. Yeah.
For one thing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No, you're not getting a full set. Would they? I feel like they would frown upon people 3D printing it.
There's a big market for people selling 3D printed models, as well as like the design file to 3D print it yourself. There's a big market out there. If you know where to look, they are legally distinct. They're air quotes legally distinct. Yeah. You can't call them Space Marines. You have to call them, void soldiers or whatever.
Void soldiers.
Yeah.
How do space soldiers?
They very heavily frown on it. And if you're ever doing like a game at a game store, Games Workshop game store, they won't even let you bring them in. Which I get. I totally understand. Like, they got to protect their brand.
Totally. Yeah, I get it. It just seems like go ahead.
Oh, sure. With the rise of 3D printing, it's very easy for people to make their own, which I think is cool. It allows more people to get into the hobby.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It feels like, at least with the 3D printing, it makes it more accessible and less expensive. Well, not that it's cheap to own a 3D printer in the plastic, but maybe in the long run, it would be cheaper to
most local libraries these days have 3D printers available for public use. True. Maybe not most, but a lot of public libraries. I know mine, just like 4 blocks away, has a 3D printer. And they also have like tool rentals. Get a library card.
Oh, damn. Yeah. That's really awesome. Yeah, I know I've heard of that. I know some, I haven't seen one, but I know I've heard of like some libraries even having not full recording studios, but just like studios enough to record a podcast, for example, or even check out some video games. Like they have video games that you could rent.
Yes. DVDs, movies, CDs.
Yeah. All
local
forms
libraries
of media
are pretty
now.
sick. Yeah. I actually, back when I was a kid, I used to live in Chicago, and my local library had video game rentals for the GameCube, and so we'd go. Me and my buddies, we'd hit up the library, get a new game, and then go back to one of our places and play it. Yeah.
Yeah. Screw Blockbuster. You didn't have to pay for any rental. Just get it for free at library.
Yeah. That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
I know. R.I.P.
Yeah. There's still one. There's still one
in Oregon, right?
Yeah, Oregon.
Yeah. I think my brother-in-law just went to visit it recently. So
oh, cool.
That's pretty funny.
It's like a tourist stop now.
Yeah, totally. I don't think anybody's renting anything from there right now. Well, maybe they are. That's why they're still in business, but still. Damn. Thank you for talking about the Space Marines. Seems like a really good game, a really fun game to play. And I know I'll eventually get to it. I feel like it's gonna at some point hit Game Pass. I know they said no plans right now, but I feel like maybe next 6 months we'll see if that tune changes.
Being a patient gamer saves your wallet.
It does,
especially in this economy. If you can wait good year, 2 years, games go on sale for dirt cheap, especially with Steam sales.
Yeah,
be patient.
I know. I wanted to plug another website I use all the time called like isthereanydeal.com, and it kind of scrapes not just Steam, but a bunch of other third-party sites and other mainstream like retailers just to see if a certain video game is on sale. So if y'all don't know about it, isthereanydeal.com. Check it out. It'll help you save some more money. Cool. Yeah. Joe, what you been up to, man?
More Street Fighter.
Which games you been playing?
So Street Fighter, because Terry Bogard, right? Dropped.
Yeah.
So
you said the full name.
Well, that's just what, he's got funny names. I was able to get a USB-C from AliExpress for my fight stick.
Oh, right. Let's just catch
$1.
Dang.
$1, and that shit works.
No way.
Yeah. So I can plug in any USB-A to USB-C to it now.
Oh,
right?
sick.
And I'm good to go.
I guess, Brandon, real quick, he broke his fight stick, the cord. He just bought it too, like in July. And then the cord, something with the cable broke or snapped. And I guess you were able to get a replacement?
Nice.
Something?
Yeah, I was able to get a replacement. That's not coming for another month, right? So I went on Reddit, good old Reddit, right? They got answers, and they're like, try this thing out. I'm like, okay. I mean, I'm spending $1 here. Sure, whatever. Bought it, got here about a couple days ago. Yeah, and it works. I can plug in any USB-A to USB-C to it, and it connects right to the fight stick. So I'm good to go again. So I am practicing combos and remembering how hard the fight stick, to get used to it, right? Because there's so many buttons on it, and then your hand is placed out, in a certain way so that you can hit certain buttons with your pinky. It's kind of like Guitar Hero in a way,
Guitar Hero
the
for a fight game
version of it, the hardest difficulty, right? So getting used to that again. I think I played maybe in total 40, 50 matches with just locally.
Okay, against your brother or
against brother and then my cousin, and then we'll hop online once in a while because I do want to play a character that has combos because I played Zangief, who was a grappler. Right, so there's not many combos with him, and so that's why I was like, all right, well, Terry's coming out. He's cool. I like his aesthetic. He's like an old fighter from the '90s, and he's very '90s in this game. He's got a lot of '90s lingo, it's so bad, or that kind of stuff.
Dude looks like Ash Ketchum really cool. If he was on testosterone.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So it sounds like you've mostly just been playing Terry. You haven't even really been playing as Zangief then, because you just want to focus on Terry.
Yeah, I wanted to focus on Terry, still going to do that. And just learning his combos, because what I was really doing was just special moves, just the inputs. And I was then I started losing and I was like, okay, I should probably learn some combos. Learning combos isn't the funnest thing because you want to see cool stuff on the screen, right? Special effects and things, level 3 supers, whatever. So I'm like, okay, it's time to get to the actual work part of this. So I've been doing that. Right. And then what else? I finished Persona 3 Reload, the DLC episode, I guess. And there are some at the end, they're okay, remember when I talked about internal family systems a while back on the main pod?
Yeah.
That was something that came up at the end as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so maybe I'll get into that in the main pod since I finished the DLC. But the Persona 3 DLC, I would recommend it if you care about Persona 3. If you don't really care what's going on there, I wouldn't.
Right.
Yeah, because it's $35, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of pricey.
That's expensive for a DLC.
Yeah. Damn, 35.
It added 24 hours to my time. So it was 24 hours to complete. There's a secret dungeon. Well, not secret dungeon, extra dungeon. Where you go through boss fights, and then you eventually fight the protagonist of Persona 5. And that's notoriously really hard. Yeah.
Excuse me? You're just going to drop that. I'm definitely going to have to put a spoiler warning now. Wait, so you fight Joker at the end of this?
You fight Joker, which makes no sense because Persona 5 takes place in 2017, 2018, something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And when did Persona 3 is 2010, 2011.
How did they... So did they just have this character design ready to go or something? Or did they just create this I don't know, boss rush mode for this new DLC that just came out.
This is new. This is new to this DLC.
Okay. I thought
this wasn't in the old PS2 version of this.
Yeah, I was like, what the man? They really were planning ahead here. Shit. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. And were you able to beat Joker?
Dude, I wasn't even able to beat the first boss. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah, I have to go fuse personas, get special skills, because the first boss likes to use status elements. And so what happened was it'll use Infuriate on your whole team, meaning that I can't do anything. They'll attack, and the boss, I think, reflects physical damage. So if I hit him, I get damaged. So I was like, okay. And so I was like, no, you know what? Screw this. I'm just going to go fight the final boss. Final boss was done in less than 20 minutes.
Oh, shit.
So I was like,
you were
all right,
grinding.
cool. Yeah, I hit level 99. I got the max persona that resists everything, every ailment or every element. Because I was like, you know what? If we're going to go out, let's go out with a bang. Let me put some time into this. And there's a way to grind levels that takes it takes less than 30 minutes to get to level 99. The catch is you need to get to level 88 first, but that's where the grind is, right? So it's after that, the next 11 levels you're chilling.
You just gotta get 9/10 of the way there.
You gotta get to level 88. Yeah. And playing the game, and I didn't grind at all in this DLC. And I kept saying you level up pretty quickly, and it makes sense because some of these boss fights are demanding, or they're very draining. They're very time consuming. There was one boss fight, and spoilers, you fight the party members. That first boss fight took 30 to 40 minutes just because my setup wasn't great. Mm-hmm. It's at any time it could just, you're done and you got to restart. Right? Restart that boss fight.
Oh my God. I hate that.
So I finished that up too. And then I'm sure we'll talk about metaphor. I'm sure that,
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to start with that. Or...
Yeah, probably. Brandon, I was curious to know what your, are you familiar with the Persona series at all? Or
I am tangentially aware of the Persona series.
Sure.
I've never played any Persona games. I have played Joker and Smash, and that's about it.
I know. He's a good one.
I just know that the new one is the metaphor game. It's by basically the same devs as Persona, and then it's reverse Persona. So high fantasy, and then the fantasy in that world is real life. Right?
Yeah. You pretty much nailed it. Some other thing I would add to Persona is that the developers are heavily influenced by early psychology concepts and theories. I know when the first Persona game was developed, or maybe it was the Shin Megami Tensei games, they cited Carl Jung in their influences for developing the narrative. So there's a lot of subtle hints to psychology things that are littered throughout the game. It's a fun JRPG. It's very lengthy. It feels like all of them are. Every Persona game, and Metaphor also, since I know some early review just came out and they said it was 80 hours to mainline the game, 100 to do everything. So
that's a lot of time.
That's
good bang for your buck, I guess.
Yeah. That's
that's
true.
Baldur's Gate 3 levels of content.
Yeah. I it's funny. I feel with Baldur's Gate 3, it's pretty wide, the content.
Very wide, yeah.
Whereas with Personas, it's pretty long. So the story just goes on forever, but there's not really any variability within the story. Whereas Baldur's Gate 3, you totally get a bunch of different choices and different avenues and routes to take. But I think what I enjoy about the Persona series is that combination of the JRPG, the turn-based fighting games, and then the kind of social life sim light elements in between all the dungeon running, where you get to interact with some other characters, have to spend some time with them, level up your relationships with them, and that in turn affects and improves some of the process or some of the mechanics, some of your own stats when you're going through the dungeon, and also can improve the items that you're wearing. But yeah, I guess I just wanted to check your familiarity with Persona before we deep dived into
please
Metaphor. Yeah. So
curious to hear.
Damn, Joe. I feel you're probably like me, where you played the demo and got super invested in Metaphor, and that's all you could think about now as well. I'm just
invested to the point that I have 4 different save files.
Yeah.
In a demo.
No, it's crazy. Because the demo, they let you play up to a certain point, and there's a day system, like a day night system, where you have, I think it's broken into 3 parts of the day. It's like afternoon, evening, and then nighttime, like when you're about to go to sleep. And they let you get to a certain part in the story, and then it's 3 full day cycles after that. They end the demo. And what you do in those 3 day cycles is kind of up to you. I think what I ended up doing was just kept on trying to progress the main story and the main dungeon that it left you on, but there were multiple other things you could have done. And it sounds like Joe wanted to make sure you hit all of them with all those 4 save files.
And I don't think I saw everything either within this demo. What I did with the first save file was just a regular playthrough, seeing how far the demo would take me. And I told you, like, I ran out of MP, so I had to go back, right?
Yeah.
And then I looked on Reddit, and someone was like, there's an MP farming spot. So if you equip the mage archetype, which archetypes are like the job system of this game, you know how like in Final Fantasy you have like white mage, red mage, black mage, right? Monk, that kind of stuff.
Archetype, another like early psychology, Carl Jung type of influence there.
It's right there. So the mage has a passive where if you stun enemies or defeat enemies outside of the turn-based combat, your whole party's MP recovers by 1. So not by much, but there are these little spawn points within the main dungeon, the Grand Cathedral, the Great Cathedral, where it spawns infinite enemies as long as you don't destroy the hive mind. So what you're supposed to do is destroy these skeletons over and over again, get your MP back up, and you never have to leave the dungeon. You can also farm XP that way, and XP for your archetypes to level them up, but that takes longer, right?
Yeah.
I was really just using it as an MP farm. And so with that, I was able to rank up the healer archetype to 10, the mage one to 10.
Damn.
And because why you want to do that is because there's a social link within the game that's like, hey, can you rank up this job to level 10? And I was like, okay, what do you get for that? And so what you get is essentially, you know, when you spend to unlock the classes, that drops in price, the skill inheritance drops in price, and I think you're able to equip another skill within your main archetype, which is the Seeker, which is the one you start out with, right? So it opens up another little bar where you can transfer a skill from a different class. So now you have 2 of those, right?
Got it.
And so, because I was curious, I was like, what has this game got to offer?
Yeah.
Right? Hence the different save files, you know, and then the tips online are pretty helpful. And then there's another save file I had with the optional dungeon. And this dungeon, you're like level 9 or 10. The enemies here are like 16, 20.
Yeah, I tried running through it. That was rough.
I was able to beat the Minotaur at the end.
I got to the Minotaur. I was like, not trying this right now.
That boss is level 22, and I was only like level 10. Yeah. So you have to, in a way, you know, its weakness is ice, right? I was like, okay. In hindsight, I was like, cool, it's ice. So I bought some ice items and just prayed that the RNG was on my side, that he'll miss or do not as much damage, because it's like a damage roll, right? These bosses, right? It's like, oh, you rolled low, okay, you'll take 123 damage instead of 160. Took a couple tries, but I was able to finish it, right? And I was surprised because I'm only level 10 and this boss is 22, meaning that you can surpass these challenges if you try, right? Or if you're like strategic with what you're given, what items, spells, equipment you have. So I was like, I really like that. So I was able to see the end of that. I saw the end of the main well, not the main, like the end of it, but it was like the halfway point of the main dungeon. Because I was looking it up online and no one uploaded anything with like, what's the stopping point in the main dungeon?
Yeah, I was curious
about that. And again, the demo's
too.
Pretty new, right? And I was like, why can't I find anything? But the optional dungeon, I found so much information on. So the curiosity got to me, and I was like, you know what? I have time. Let me go through and try out these save files and see what what content there is. It says I spent on PlayStation 5. It says I spent like 17 hours. I don't believe that. It's like 9-10 hours that I spent on a demo. Yeah, on a demo. Damn. So I'm like, that already shows you I'm in. I'm locked in. That's it. It's over. You know.
Yeah. I know. I felt the same way. I think I put about 10 hours in, so not quite as extensive as the 17. But yeah, the fact that it was just a demo, like the demo itself was extensive, and I'm so grateful that they gave us that much. One thing I wanted to touch on that kind of is what drew me in was the story behind a lot of the game. And yeah, Brandon, you kind of hit the nail on the head there, where you like playing this high fantasy setting, and the main character carries this book called Utopia, and it describes like this modern world in which there's like this perfect equality and everyone has the same thing. There's no racial discrimination, there's no biases, everyone, it's just like this perfect city. And I found out that this is based off an actual book written by an author who I think is named Thomas More, called Utopia. Then there's a character in Metaphor named More as well, so it just like all ties in. Yeah, so this character, you as the main character, I guess spoilers for the demo, you're trying to stop like this coup from happening where there's this child prodigy wartime general. Like he must have been a teenager when he was able to like work his way up to become like the highest level in their military because of his genius like strategies that was causing them to win every wars. And then he wanted more. He wanted to become the leader of the nation. So he put together a plot to assassinate all of the royals and take over. So he was essentially staging a coup himself. Unfortunately for him, he unsuccessfully attempted to kill the prince, and the prince is still alive. So you're trying to kill him in order to save the prince because he put some curse on him. But his ideal vision and the reason why he wants to kill royalty is because he wants to like see this utopia. He wants to like create this equality and wipe out the royals so that everyone is equal. But in doing so, it's causing a lot of chaos. And this game touches a lot on like narratively. It touches a lot on racial discrimination because you come from this race, like the main character is this race called the Elda or the Eldens.
Yeah, the Elda tribe.
Yeah, the Elda tribe, and they like have some magic that can be used to wipe out a bunch of people. So everyone like treats you like shit because you're this like ostracized race that should not be allowed into the city because of how dangerous you are. So you get a little taste of that.
I can see some parallels. With some arguments some people use. Yeah.
For real. Honestly, the story kind of reminded me of Attack on Titan. I don't know how familiar either of you are with that anime.
It's got that
with
vibe.
The story. Yeah, where it's like, oh, the Eldens are the ones who can transform into like these giant beasts. Oh, and then in the game there are these monstrous enemies who just feel like body horror amalgamations of like different feet or heads and stuff like that will try to like attack, and they're kind of unstoppable, but they call them in the game humans. So those are the humans that are attacking everyone. So I was interpreting a bit of that as like some of the worst parts of humanity are just like squished together into these monsters and everyone has to like band together in order to defeat them. But yeah, so there's some like fun narrative things going. So where the demo kind of leaves you off is going up the castle that the what's his name? Lewis? Yeah. He has some really, for a high fantasy setting, he has some very like basic name. His name is just like Lewis. Yeah.
That's Craig over there. He's the demon prince.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, this is my friend Jeff here. He but yeah, so Lewis is like taking over the royal castle. So in the demo you're like climbing up the castle in order to find him and kill him. And I'm not too sure where it leaves off there. Maybe Joe, I'm sure you saw the end to the demo at least, so I'm not sure at what point it stops you. But yeah, so you're there, and it also introduces this very interesting mechanic in which he kills the king. He, I think, attempted to assassinate the prince, but then he does successfully kill the king. And then during the procession, so like the whole city is gathered to mourn the king, he then comes out and declares himself, Luis comes out and declares himself to be the new ruler. And then I'm not sure what happens yet, because I'm not sure where like the magic comes in, but like the spirit of the king comes out and turns into this giant moon-shaped creature that resembles the one from Majora's Mask. That's just like the moon that's like about to crash into Termina. And the king is just like, if this is the will of the people, let it be. I will give like maybe a week of in-game time for whoever is deemed like the most popular vote, and whoever is the most popular after this week will become the new king. So he's just like, at least the spirit of the king presumably is just kind of going along with it. truly believes in a dedicated to a fault democracy. Yeah, exactly what I was gonna say. Yeah.
That's
way too true democracy.
That's not how royalty works.
No.
All right.
So, yeah, some interesting themes, conflicting themes going on there, and I'm really excited to see where they go with it. I felt like that the story itself just kind of, in addition to the gameplay, really hooked me, because I don't know, I haven't really seen something like this touched on in a JRPG of all places yet. And yeah, and then not to mention that the gameplay is really fun. In addition to the turn-based stuff, when you're in the dungeons, it kind of has like an action adventure overworld feel, where you'll be running through the dungeon, and if you're a high enough level than the other enemies, you could just like whack them with your sword and then it instantly kills them. It doesn't engage in the turn-based combat. And even if you're not a high enough level, if you're the same level as the enemy, when you hit them enough times, it kind of stumbles them, and then they're stunned when you enter turn-based combat. So essentially gives you a free turn, kind of incentivizes utilizing the out of turn-based combat action attacking mechanic. And yeah, it's just a really satisfying game to play. Been having a great time with it. And I was going to kind of hold off on it for a bit until, I don't know, something else, or until like it dropped in price, or maybe until I beat Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, which is another game I'm playing right now. But I think I might have to just pick this up as soon as it drops, because I'm like ready to play more. I want to see what else happens in this game, and I'm kind of addicted to it. So
glowing review.
Yeah, thank you for listening. I've been like trying to write a lot of my thoughts down to put into like a semi-formal review just for myself, kind of, or maybe for a video if I end up making one. And this one I've kind of written a lot already, and I know I'm going to write some more, so pretty excited for it. But
just make it a video essay at that point.
Yeah, honestly, that's what I'm thinking. I'm just like, man, it takes a long time to just like record everything and then edit it all over and then talk over it. So
there's a reason H-Bomber Guy only releases one video a year. If you guys know who that is.
Yeah, I do. Oh, man. I definitely had some more to say about Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, but before I continue talking again, was there any other games anyone else was playing that you wanted to chat about?
No, I've just been playing Satisfactory, and there's not really much to chat about that game. It's just a factory builder.
Right.
Can't really delve into the psychology other than extreme levels of autism and OTSD or what's OCD. Yeah.
OCD, yeah. Did Satisfactory 2 come out already? No,
Satisfactory 1.0 came out. So the final update, the game's officially released. It's been in early access for like a year or something like that. I didn't touch it during that time, so I just picked it up at 1.0.
Once the 1.0 came out, nice.
Yeah.
There was another similar type of like mechanic factory type simulation game that my cousin was playing. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It had a similar like it sounded like wasn't Factorio. He was addicted to Factorio as well. Yeah. Have you played Factorio?
Plenty. Yeah, a bunch of mods too. Yeah. And they're actually there was one mod that got so popular that they're implementing it into the main game.
Oh, hell yeah.
The space exploration mod.
Oh, man.
And so they're going to be updating Factorio to have space exploration now. So you have to make multiple bases, and yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. I know. I have several friends who have like the hundreds of hours like gameplay, time played in that game. I know my cousin said he had about 900 or something. I feel like it really gets some people, grips them hard.
It's a nice game to just kind of play at your own pace and hang out and take problems as they come. Yeah. If you like them, they're fun. If you don't, I can see how they would be tediously boring.
maybe to watch, but I just haven't tried one. I've been cautiously curious about it, but maybe one day I'll dive into it and see what it's all about and see why all my friends have become addicted to it.
Yeah. Only one way to find out if you like something.
Yeah, true. Cool. I actually think I might save the Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom talk for next week, because I'm still, I don't know. I played maybe 8-10 hours into it at this point. I'm still not quite too hot on it. I do like some aspects of it, but maybe, I'll dive deeper into it and maybe speak more passionately next week when I'm not ranting about Metaphor ReFantazio. So I think that might end the game segment here. There were some news bits that I wanted to chat about that were prevalent this week. The first of which is, it's going to revolve around Nintendo. So I know Joe and I have been texting about this, but Brandon, have you heard of what Nintendo's been doing, at least with Pal World? Are you familiar with Pal World?
Yeah, okay. They have a lawsuit going because they're claiming that they copywrote a game mechanic. And people are likely saying that it's throwing a ball to catch a thing in an open world. But Craftopia did it before Legends of Arceus, so they don't really have ground to stand on. And Pal World is moving ahead and releasing the game on consoles. So
you can buy it now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there you go. Pal World.
It's wild.
Pal World devs think that they have nothing to fear, which, admittedly, I don't think they do. But also, copyright law is weird depending on what country you go to, and specifically Japanese copyright law. Japanese law in general heavily favors Japanese companies that started in Japan. So Nintendo may win there, and they may have to take the game out there in that specific country. But I think I don't think this copyright claim holds much water.
Yeah, I would agree. It is a shame though, since Pal World's dev company, what is it called? Pocket Pair, or am I confusing that for a different company? Pocket Pair. Yeah. Pocket Pair is based in Japan. So
they are. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's like two Japanese devs going after it, but I do agree that the Japanese law would probably favor Nintendo here, just because I don't know, they're kind of the bigger, badder company that's been around for a while. Fish,
but also they can show that Nintendo didn't they may have copywritten. And it's very silly that you can copyright game mechanics. Let me have the Nemesis system in other games.
Yeah, that is the biggest offender.
Holy crap, that's such a cool system, but I've already played that game. I would love to do it in a different setting.
Totally.
And if Pal World did something before and Nintendo comes in and then copyrights it post-mortem, I don't know Japanese law. I'm not a Japanese lawyer. But for my money, it doesn't make sense for them to be able to do that, because then they would retroactively make a game that was released after they did their copyright illegal.
Yeah.
That being Craftopia.
Oh, right. That's
because Craftopia had a similar mechanic, is my understanding.
That's funny. I remember hearing about Craftopia, and I don't remember, I don't think in all the discussions I've heard regarding this, I don't think I've heard anybody bring up Craftopia. So that is fascinating that they already had this going for it, or that they already had that mechanic in their game before Arceus. One thing, I know we talked about the Nintendo suing Pal World last week, but I think one new development that I saw that was kind of stood out to me was that they're starting to file those patents in the US as well. So I guess they had the patents in Japan already. And apparently in Japan, you could still file sub-patents, and that's how they are somehow getting around the fact that, I guess that that Pal World mechanics might be slightly different or in any way different, and they're able to file sub patents to hone in on what it is that Pal World is supposedly infringing upon. But yeah, they're also trying to file those patents here in the US. I guess though, from my understanding, was that they've rejected some of their patents. At least the U.S. patent law or patenting office, I have no idea what they're officially called, has rejected some of Nintendo's filings. So hopefully that bodes well, because I'm not the biggest fan of patenting a game mechanic. I know Brandon, you already touched on it for reasons why it just doesn't feel great to say that this idea is mine. And
because copyright, thanks to the Disney Corporation, at least in the States, is something like 75 years or something like that. Before somebody can make another Nemesis, another Nemesis system game. I'm going to be old and gray. I would like to play another one because Shadow of Mordor was a very, very fun game.
Yeah. Damn. It sure was. I know. I'm surprised Ubisoft, who seems to not be doing well financially, hasn't done anything with that.
Ubisoft has been making a lot of bad decisions over the past near decade. with their games. And I do appreciate Ubisoft delayed their new Assassin's Creed
Assassin's
game.
Creed Shadow.
Which they have gone on record saying not because of any of the controversy surrounding it. I'm not going to touch on that controversy because it's all stupid anyway.
Agreed.
But they're delaying the game because the devs said they need more time. And they're finally listening to their developers. And when they say they need more time, don't release a buggy mess. Like, people, when they're buying a game, want to buy a game that is released, and first impressions matter. Like, Fallout 76 may have no bugs anymore, but I wouldn't know because Fallout 76 released and it was this buggy hellhole. And that's all that people remember it as. I mean, No Man's Sky these days, some people know about its redemption arc, but a lot of people, should No Man's Sky have released in its current state this year, would have been laureled and people would be flocking and fanning over it. But it was released in a suboptimal state because the publisher. Yeah.
And then they also had a flooding in their office that caused them to lose like half a year's of progress, I think, on the work.
They had a flooding. My understanding, though, is they actually didn't lose any data, but they lost progress and that they had to redo their office and rebuild their office. Yes, but they did have that flooding. Yes. And they definitely lost a lot of time because when your office gets flooded, you're going to lose time. You have to rebuy computers and do all that stuff. But my understanding is they didn't lose any code.
Okay. That's good to know.
But also, I've been wrong before.
Well, I mean, I haven't looked into it. I'm just barely trying to remember it from whenever that game was released. And what was it, like 2016 from Hello Games?
Something like that.
Yeah. So I don't remember the full story, but that was one of the other news pieces I wanted to touch on was the Assassin's Creed Shadow being delayed. The unfortunate thing was that it was delayed to February 2025, which already has a extremely packed list.
February is
of
always
games.
A good month for games.
It sure feels like it.
Yeah, because there was one year where it was like the FromSoft game, Elden Ring,
and then
forget
Horizon.
That name. Yeah, Horizon and Baldur's Gate all came out within like a couple weeks span of time of one another.
Jesus.
And that was too much. 2 years ago, a year ago. Anyway, February, March tends to be very good for games.
Yeah, it does seem like it. I feel like I didn't really realize that until the past couple of years, but now I'm looking at the release list right now. I wonder if I can. Man, there's like a lot of smaller indie games, but then there's some big hitters that are coming out like the same day maybe as Assassin's Creed Shadow,
like Monster Hunter and
Monster Hunter.
That Monster Hunter game is going to be fun.
Civilization 7 is coming out
7.
like 3 days before. Monster Hunter Wilds, Yakuza. You already said all these, Joe. Sorry, I'm just like repeating it. Avowed is supposed to be coming out as well that day or that month. Man, they're really competing with a lot of big titles here. So I'm questioning if they're even going to leave it on that date or push it back a bit more, just because I think they don't want to compete with all this, especially since it seems like they're putting all their eggs in this basket right now in the Ubisoft, all of Ubisoft is like putting their eggs in the Assassin's Creed Shadows basket. So I think they need this to be a good hit because they haven't had like a great game in a while. But so we'll see what happens come February. But another piece of Nintendo news I wanted to chat about was them going after the emulators. Because I'm like,
I get it. I get it. Like, people are playing their games for free on not their console. If I'm publishing games specifically for my original console, the hardware that I'm selling you, and then I'm also selling you the game, I get trying to protect it. The thing that is rough is there are people out there playing old ass Nintendo games on console and streaming it, and that brings attention back to Nintendo. It's free advertising,
right?
And Nintendo historically has been very bad about allowing people to play their games on stream or play their games in videos and upload them to YouTube and monetize it that way. And it's free advertising. Right. You're not even really like, you can't buy the original Pokemon Red anymore. Like, they're not making the cartridge. It might be on they have like the Play Store or the Nintendo Switch Store. You might be able to get it there, but even still,
can't.
Yeah. Oh, you can't.
Yeah. There is no way to play it.
Reproduction carts, right? But that's
Yeah, but those aren't official, I don't think.
No,
and a lot of the old cartridges are dying these days. Because they had like an internal battery. Yeah. And that battery's dying now. So if you find an old GameCube game, you can't play it anymore.
I know. Yeah, I think that's. I know what you meant. Game Boy. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know if they put a battery in those discs.
No, those tiny ass discs. Yeah. No.
Yeah, I think that's my main issue.
Right, that's an issue too.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Sure. I don't have my GameCube anymore. I kind of wish I did because that was one of my favorite systems. But
I wish I still had my N64.
I know. I have an NES still, which is kind of
cool.
Yeah. But that was my main thing with Nintendo taking down these emulators is the fact that they have no way to legally play like some of their older games, and it seems like they have no interest in providing a legal way to play these older games either. So from a games preservationist like standpoint, it's not great. I also believe that in the way the current law is structured, like emulation or emulators should be legal, and it's the ROMs that are the illegal part. As long as they're not monetizing them. I think there's something where if you're somehow making money off the ROM, then that's when they can go after you. Otherwise, it's legal to even host like ROM dumps, but I'm not sure.
I wouldn't be so certain about that because in the piracy game they still go after server hosts for if you have a movie library server and you're allowing people to torrent from you, they'll still go after you. If it's a big enough, they don't care about one guy downloading fucking Blazing Saddles, who cares? But if you're hosting the entirety of the Warner Brothers library, Warner Brothers is going to take notice.
They're going to attack you. Yeah. That makes a bit more sense. I saw some guy, there was some popular Nintendo emulator dude who has shown that he owns the cartridges, the original cartridges and stuff. On his YouTube channel. And they gave him a cease and desist and demonetized his YouTube channel. And it's that kind of stuff where I'm like, can we not be super lawyer power hungry here, Nintendo? It just feels really scummy, feels super corporate and capitalist mindset. But I don't know.
Nintendo has strong enough IP, strong enough brands that they don't need to. And I would love a world where they're happy that, people are playing their old games. Even to this day, it's a testament to the early developers that they had at the company. It's a testament to their early ideas. It is a shame that you are, banning people from giving you free advertising. That honestly, the majority of people who are streamers, who are content creators on YouTube or whatever platform, they're there to give you free content for your game. You're not going to go and post facto release 50 hours of somebody playing a corporate guy playing Pokemon Red. But a streamer may come up and be like, hey, I'm going to do a Pokemon Red Nuzlocke or whatever run. And more people are going to flock to your old game. And then, if you can buy it legally, guess what? People will buy it legally. Piracy will always happen. You're not going to be able to completely eliminate piracy unless you go for some really, really strict net unneutrality laws. It's just going to keep happening. And the people who want to buy your game will.
Completely agree. Yeah, well, I guess we'll see what Nintendo ends up doing from here on out. It feels like they got a little... I know they won a lawsuit before they sued Palworld, and that almost set up this litigious course that they're on right now of going after a bunch of different people. Their lawyers are a little hungry, so yeah, but no, you put it well. Well, I think that kind of closes out the news that I had that I wanted to chat about this week. Is there anything else any of y'all wanted to talk about before we wrap it up here? No.
I mean, because TGS happened, but it was a lot of games that we already knew are coming out, like Silent Hill 2, Death Stranding 2, right? Monster Hunter Wild. There wasn't anything new.
No, it was mainly release dates for all those games.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, but no big new announcement. So I think that's why I didn't put anything down for TGS. But cool. All right, y'all. Thank you all for listening. And if you like what we're doing here, be sure to rate and review the podcast on whatever app you're listening to. That kind of helps us out and plugs us further higher up into the algorithm. And if you have any of the means to do so and want to help us out a little bit, subscribe to our Patreon. We got like a little $2 tier. So, you know, splitting that 3 ways, that's maybe a piece of gum for each of us, but it could help us out. And if you're not doing so already, be sure to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. I'm trying to post more there. I know it's been a little iffy after I got back from Europe, but trying to get back in the swing of things with the posting. But anyways, thank you all so much. Take good care of yourselves, and we'll see y'all next week. Thank you, everybody.
See you in the next one.
Bye.